Welcome to the Arsenal, the Gunners Rodrigo and Eberechi officially signing for Arsenal right now. Rodrigo and Eberechi, complete sensational moves to Arsenal. It was a bright, crisp afternoon in North London when the announcement finally dropped. The red and white banners were already draped across the Emirates Stadium's facade, the club's media team poised for a moment they knew would electrify supporters worldwide. Arsenal Football Club, after weeks of tense negotiations and mounting speculation, confirmed the double signing of two elite talents, Brazilian forward Rodrigo from Real Madrid and English playmaker Eberechi from Crystal Palace. For Arsenal fans, this was more than just a statement of intent. It was a declaration that the club's ambitions were no longer constrained to merely competing for the top four. They were aiming for supremacy in England and Europe. The long courtship of Rodrigo, the pursuit of Rodrigo had been simmering since last season's UEFA Champions League knockout stages. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, always keen on players who could operate across the front line with tactical intelligence, had been impressed by Rodrigo's versatility, blistering pace and composure in decisive moments. Rodrigo's time at Real Madrid was glittered with trophies, but the arrival of new Galacticos meant his role sometimes shifted away from being a guaranteed starter. Privately, the Brazilian wanted to be the centerpiece of a project rather than a rotational option in a star-studded squad. Arsenal offered him exactly that: a starring role, a passionate fan base, and a manager whose tactical philosophy promised to elevate his game. The negotiations with Real Madrid were intense. Madrid valued Rodrigo at a premium, knowing his commercial appeal in South America and his on-field contributions. But Arsenal's sporting director, Edu Gaspar, played a masterclass in diplomacy. He leveraged his Brazilian connections, the player's desire for a new challenge, and Arsenal's growing stature to craft a deal worth $85 million, with performance-related add-ons. When Rodrigo finally put pen to paper, the club's official photographer captured the moment, his smile broad, holding up the iconic number 11 shirt, the London skyline visible through the Emirates glass panels. The ease factor. If Rodrigo's signing brought global attention, Eberechi's transfer struck an emotional chord with English football purists. Easy had been the heartbeat of Crystal Palace, dazzling supporters with his effortless dribbling, clever passing lanes, and ability to unlock defences with a single feint. His journey from QPR to the Premier League had already inspired countless young players, and now he was taking the next leap. Arteta saw Eze not just as a creative midfielder, but as a tactical chameleon who could operate on the left, through the centre, or in advanced pockets between the lines. The manager's vision was clear. Eze's artistry would complement Martin Ødegaard's precision, creating a midfield that could dictate any match's tempo. The deal required persistence. Palace were reluctant sellers, aware of Eze's importance to their survival hopes. Arsenal, however, presented a package of $65 million plus incentives tied to Champions League progression and domestic silverware. The player's desire to compete for major honours tipped the balance. On announcement day, Eze's first interview radiated gratitude toward Palace fans and excitement for the future. "This is a dream," he said, standing on the Emirates pitch in full kit. "Arsenal is a club I've always admired. The history, the style of play, and the ambition. I can't wait to get started." Tactical implications. With Rodrigo and Eze arriving, Arteta's tactical options expanded dramatically. Rodrigo's ability to play as a right winger, left winger, or even as a second striker meant Arsenal could rotate seamlessly between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. His blistering acceleration would stretch defences, creating pockets for the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Bukayo Saka. Eze's introduction into the midfield offered creativity and unpredictability. In possession, he could drop deep to assist in build-up play, or push forward to overload attacking zones. His link-up with Ødegaard promised to be one of the most aesthetically pleasing partnerships in the Premier League. Training sessions immediately reflected these possibilities. Observers noted how Rodrigo's direct runs opened space for Eze to drift into dangerous half spaces. Saka, often double-marked last season, suddenly had more freedom with Rodrigo drawing defenders on the opposite flank. Fan reaction and media frenzy. North London erupted with excitement. Outside the Emirates, fans queued for new shirts with Rodrigo and Eze's names printed on the back. On social media, Arsenal's announcement video, set to pounding drums and quick-cut highlights, racked up millions of views within hours. Pundits debated whether this double signing instantly made Arsenal title favourites. Former Arsenal captain Patrick Vieira praised the moves on live television, calling them transformative. He noted that both players fit Arsenal's DNA: technical excellence, intelligence, and a hunger for silverware. Even rivals took notice. Manchester City's Pep Guardiola remarked in a press conference, "Two fantastic signings. Arsenal will be even more dangerous now. They are building something very strong." The bigger picture. These signings weren't just about the current season. Arsenal's recruitment strategy under Edu and Arteta had been meticulous, targeting players in their early to mid-20s with room to grow but already possessing elite-level skills. Rodrigo was 24, Ez 26, both entering their prime years. Financially, Arsenal balanced the expenditure with outgoing transfers and increased commercial revenue. The club's return to the Champions League had boosted their profile, making them an attractive destination for world-class talent. In the dressing room, leaders like Odegaard and Jesus welcomed the newcomers warmly. Behind closed doors, Arteta outlined his vision: a squad with depth, adaptability, and a winning mentality that could compete on all fronts: the Premier League, Champions League, and domestic cups. Looking ahead. As pre-season approached, excitement mingled with curiosity. How quickly would Rodrigo adapt to the Premier League's physicality? Could Eze translate his Palace brilliance to Arsenal's higher tempo, possession-heavy system? The answers would come soon, but one thing was certain: Arsenal's opponents now had more to fear. For supporters, these were the signings they had been craving. Not just talented players, but game changers. In one historic afternoon, Arsenal signalled that their days of rebuilding were over. The Gunners were ready to aim their cannons at the very top. And as the sun dipped behind the Emirates Stadium, two new stars stood in the famous red and white, ready to write their chapters in Arsenal's storied history.